Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MindShare PodCast. This show is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals. REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. And the ORCF, the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation, enabling and empowering realtors across Ontario to fundraise in support of shelter-related causes in the communities in which they live and work. You can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to get more market share. Plus, learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 301. Well, here we go again today, just you and I. And if you're wondering, Dave, why? Why again? Why another solo episode? I mean, you get some amazing guests. Like, we're so fortunate to hear from so many amazing people. Yeah, I know. We feel grateful that we get so many amazing guests. That being said, we have just wrapped up the MindShare Mastermind, which we were talking about for weeks on end, months on end. And I got to tell you, it was absolutely epic. The speakers that we had, the attendees that were in the room, the collaboration that happened, the problem solving that went down. I mean, I told you before, you need to get yourself in that room. And if you didn't get yourself in that room, trust me, if you hear from anybody that was in that room, you are going to kick yourself. I mean, if you're hearing from me right now and the excitement and how amped up I am about what we just did this past week, you got to understand, it was absolutely amazing. Now, well, I guess I'll say this to you. Keep an eye on my social medias. You're going to see some clips coming out. You're going to see some highlights coming out. The one thing you're not going to get to see is what we talked about, what the speakers covered off, what the topics were, what the problem solving that we did was. And you don't get to because you just weren't there. I mean, look, I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you tune in. And I want you to put this in your pocket right now, that the next time you see me or anybody talking about the MindShare Mastermind, make it a point for yourself to get yourself in that room. We do some amazing stuff. Anyways, I could go on and on and on about it, but we got some other stuff that I want to cover off today. And today's show, the topic that I chose here was struggling with consistency, ? Here's how to stay committed and see results. Now, consistency is one of those things that it eludes most people. Procrastination sets in. Mindsets. The feelings of it's the same old. And look, we're going to get into all of it today, okay? Because most people do struggle with consistency. But I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to give you the steps today for exactly how to stay committed to anything that you want to achieve. I mean, look, we're going to the back 4 months of the year here. We got like 3.5 months left. And if you count like a couple weeks for the holidays, around holiday season, and how everybody takes a whole bunch of time off, and there's parties and get-togethers and everything else, I mean, I'd suggest to you right now, you got about 3 months left. 3 months to hit the goals that you want to hit this year. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break that down. I'm going to work through with you exactly how to go about that, how to solve that issue, okay? And again, apply it to anything you want in life. That being said, I do want to do a quick recap over the past few shows, as I feel it is important that if you are a first-time listener, and I want to say a huge thank you to you for showing up today, or you are a regular listener, and I want to say a huge thank you to you as well for just continuing to come back. It's important to know the type of stuff that we talk about on this show so that you can go back, you can look at those episodes or listen to those episodes, watch those episodes, whichever one you want. As you know, they're available on all the major platforms. But that you can go back and you can really internalize the dialogue that I either had with my guest or on these solo episodes, the conversations that we've had together. We really work to make an impact in your business. We work to make an impact in your life. And if you wonder, Dave, like, where do you think about the topics that you want to come up with? You know, we get guests coming at us, weekly. I mean, daily basis sometimes, oftentimes, I guess, requesting to be on the show. And there's many people, and look, I thank everybody for reaching out. There's many people we have no idea who they are. We have no idea what they're up to. And quite frankly, there's many that are not even necessarily relevant to you, our listeners. However, in working with you and being able to coach you along the way and work with so many awesome people that are just really driving for that next level of success, we also hear about a lot of the challenges and a lot of the the things that are going around and ruminating in people's minds about what they want to fix or what challenges or problems they're having. So anyways, in this case, as we go backwards a little bit here, on episode 296, we talked about how to do big things with video to grow your real estate business. And I had Anya Ettinger on the show. She has she's done a lot of video. She's very, when I say plain, I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Instead, I mean that in a way where there's no crazy production. She hasn't spent stupid amounts of money trying to produce video. She's just confident about it. She knows what she wants to talk about. She gets on, she delivers a good message. It resonates. And she's had videos that have gone viral. Like, we're talking millions of views. So we talked about that, right? How do you do big things with video? So again, a great episode to go back to, episode 296. On episode 297, it was just you and I. And on that one, we talked about how to achieve freedom and flexibility in life as a realtor. It's long been said that most people get into this business for exactly that, the freedom and the flexibility. Yet we all know how many hats we wear. We all know how much there is going on in a day. And we all know that it is a lot harder to achieve that freedom and that flexibility when you're running your own business and when you're wearing so many different hats between business and life. So we talked about that. On episode 298, I had my buddy Todd Scobie, who's a realtor out of Calgary, Alberta. He's been in the business 19 years. This dude started up when he first started. He literally signed up to kits. Super grateful for that. And he's never looked back. Now, the episode we talked about mastering work-life balance without sacrificing income. So it's a really nice dovetail from the one previous to that about freedom and flexibility. In this case, Todd, who has become a very successful realtor, manages his office, now trains agents within the office, and he's been doing that for a number of years. He gets it. We're talking almost 2 decades of being in this industry, playing in this sandbox. He's got 2 daughters at home. He's got a wife at home. He's got hobbies with his cars that he collects. And he's managed to do it all through the luxuries of being a realtor, but also understanding how to master work-life balance, again, without sacrificing income. So episode 298, go back and tune into that one. On episode 299, we talked about revving up for charity, what you need to know about the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation charity motorcycle ride. Now, although we did that ride some week and a half ago now, and it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the networking, the riding, the weather, the amount of money we raised, like super, super, super awesome. Part of it was, that particular episode was really talking about the ride itself, but we also really did a great job of emphasizing why you should want to get involved in charitable causes, why you should want to get involved in giving back to your community and supporting your community for yourself, for your brand, for your emotions internally, and as well to, help our industry. So again, you go back to that one, Revving Up for Charity, episode 299. And then, of course, on episode 300. Episode 300, I had my buddy Jason Frazier. Now, Jason, and again, you got to go back and tune into the episode. But this was really around, how your friends can see something that you can't in you. And when you've got good people around you, you've got that support system around you, helps lift you up, helps reason things through, helps keep you accountable, helps push you and drive you. Amazing things happen. And I got to tell you, Jason Frazier is exactly the reason that we have made it, or we started the MindShare podcast. Like, directly, he is the reason. He called me up and he said, Dave, you got to do this. And I did it. And here we are on episode 301. I mean, think about that. Episode 301 of the MindShare podcast. I mean, talk about a milestone here. Like, whoever thought we were going to get to episode 301? I never even thought about it. I mean, quite frankly, I just naturally assume we're doing episode 302 and 303 and on and on and on. But we're talking 301 episodes now. A weekly episode being published for the past 301 weeks. And I mean, even to think about it, to say it to you right now, it's unfathomable. It's pretty cool. So look, welcome to this episode. And as I started off the top, again, what are we doing here today together? Today we're going to be talking about, the struggle with consistency. And I ask you, are you struggling with consistency? If you are, here's exactly how you're going to stay committed so that you see the results that you want in life. Okay? First off, I keep saying it, but I have to say it again. I cannot thank you enough for tuning in. Whether it's your first time or you are a long-time listener, super, super grateful. We've looked back over the past 300 episodes and the guests, the topics. I mean, I've learned so much. And my goal has been to help you learn so much. And consistency is really what's played a role in reaching all of this. I mean, even the show itself, consistently ranking on iTunes. I mean, wow, cool. Like, think about it. You could be, working with a client and get a deal done. You could be accomplishing something personal. You could be in the beach building a sandcastle. I mean, when you're done, after you put in effort to something and you see the finished product, you see how far you've come. It's a good feeling. I mean, consistency is critical in all aspects of life, whether it's being personal, whether it's professional. And I mean, again, as we look back, and yeah, you can go back to the previous episode of episode 300, but as I talk about Jason, and I talk about, what your friends can see, what you can't, I remember getting the call from him, and he says to me, Bud, Dave, I got an idea for you. You got to jump in on this. It's going to be big, but you got to do it now. I'm like, all right, what's up? What is it? And I trust this guy, right? He says, you have to start a podcast. I'm like, why do I have to start a podcast? And you guys got to understand something. At the time, I did not listen to podcasts. At the time, this was a moment where voice marketing was becoming a very big thing. But I didn't know where to start. And the reality is, he says, look, you got to start it. You got to get involved in this thing. I want you to be involved. And you got to have 3 episodes done in the next week. I'm like, 3 episodes? I don't even know what to do to start for the first one. And I want you to think for a moment right now. Do you do video marketing? Or have you thought about doing video marketing? Do you write a blog? Or have you thought about writing a blog? Are you consistent with your social media content? Or have you thought that you would like to be? See, the one thing that happened in this moment when Jay told me, you've got to get this done, is I had no idea what to do, but I knew that if this guy was saying to me, Dave, there's something big here for you, I just had the confidence that I had to move forward. And seriously, I got off the line with him and I went to our buddy Google and I said, how to start a podcast. I followed the steps. Was it perfect? No. 301 episodes now. 301 episodes later. Is it perfect? No. We just keep working. We keep trying. We keep trying to evolve. We keep trying to get more creative. We keep trying to resonate with you more. We keep trying to figure out how to get more listeners to tune in. It never stops, ever. But neither has the production of this show, and hence why we are here today. Hence why we've been able to hit top 10 on iTunes multiple times over these past 301 episodes. Hence why when I speak to many people in the industry, they come up to me, whether it's at a trade show, whether it's by email. People talk about the fact that they listen to the MindShare podcast. We've been ranked as one of the top 20 podcasts in real estate across North America. And again, I have you to thank for that. I'm also going to say I have myself to thank for that. And although that may sound self-serving, understand that if I gave up along the way, if I stopped at any time, if I thought it wasn't working, if I stopped because I was challenged, we would not be here right now. Yet here we are. So, what is consistency? Okay, what really is it? How do we define consistency? And as we look it up, and I did look it up, it's the quality of always behaving or performing in a similar way, or of something always happening in a similar way. Again, the quality of always behaving or performing in a similar way, or of always happening in a similar way. Now, it's not just about doing something repeatedly, but doing it with intention and a long-term view. Doing something steady. providing deliberate effort in any area of life. Deliberate effort. See, showing up regularly, right? Putting in the work. Sometimes it's going to feel difficult. Sometimes it's not going to be exciting. Oftentimes it may feel difficult. Oftentimes it may not be exciting. But one thing we've always been taught in life is that hard work pays off. And when you show up even when you don't want to, you're better than 99% of people. Because 99% of people will give up in that moment. They will not show up in that moment. They will say to themselves, hey, I can't do it, or it's hard, or I just don't want to. As bad as they want the end game, the outcome, they just don't want to do the work to get there. And that's the difference between winning for most people. You know, it's about getting over procrastination, right? That thought of, you know, I know that I want to, again, record more videos, start a podcast, put out more content on social, make more phone calls, meet new people, grow my business. I mean, you name it, right? Go to the gym and lose weight. You know, get in shape, start reading a book, spend more time with family, put the phone down more often. When things are hard, again, we procrastinate. We tell ourselves stories about why we don't want to. Now, as we talk about consistency, it's important that we distinguish between consistency and the word perfection. Because as I said a moment ago, 301 episodes later, yeah, oh boy, have we been consistent. I mean, that goes without saying. But in terms of perfection, we're nowhere close to perfect. I mean, in fact, what is perfect? See, it's more important to be consistent than it is about trying to be perfect. Okay, if we look at the word perfection, and again, another definition here, perfection is defined as a flawless state where everything is exactly right. But I'm also going to say, and you know it, perfection is completely subjective. What you think is flawless, maybe I see as full of flaws. What you see as exactly right, maybe I see it as exactly wrong. Who's right and who's wrong? Maybe we're both right. So again, perfection is subjective. See, whereas instead, consistency allows for setbacks. It allows for failure. It creates opportunities for learning. See, this is all about coming back and returning to the effort you had to put in to begin with after any challenge, rather than just, pursuing flawless execution. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking to continue to do what I'm doing. And as I continue to do what I'm doing, I'm going to come up with ideas and ways to make it better. Naturally, I'm going to learn. Riding a bike, swimming, walking, talking, writing. Didn't come out great the first time, but as we all do it more and more and more, we get better. You know, as I was coming up with the content for this, and I was really thinking to myself, what are we going to talk about and how are we going to break this down? Because I really feel 301 episodes later, it's important to talk about this thing called consistency, which is so difficult for so many people. I found this metaphor, and it was the tortoise and the hare. And we've all heard this one, right? But it really is a great metaphor, a great definition that demonstrates how small, consistent actions can beat sporadic bursts of effort. So again, you get all excited, you do something really, really hard and really, really well, and you put all your eggs into one basket, and at some point you get tired and you go, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Whereas if you instead, and we'll talk more about how we work this into our roadmap for our days and our life, but instead, we take those small, consistent, tiny actions and we repeatedly do them and we learn from them and we execute no matter what, no matter where our mindset's at, no matter what's in our way, we just do. We actually accomplish more. I actually had somebody else, and I think I shared this with you some time ago, but I want to share this one again, and maybe I didn't. I was on the phone with a client one day, and we were talking about, getting an email out, and she had this concern around perfection. And it's not perfect. And we had this whole conversation about what perfection really meant. And I emphasize that really what you're searching for is consistency, not perfection. And she told me this story one day about how she used to play baseball and a friend of hers was just absolutely perfect. I'm like, what do you mean by perfect? She's like, oh, like she always hit home runs. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah. I said, you're telling me every single time, and I'll sort of condense this story for you. You tell me every single time she went up to bat, she hit a home run. She's like, yeah, she was just absolutely amazing. I'm like, she didn't strike out once. She goes, well, I mean, maybe she did. I'm like, oh, okay. And right away we're seeing how maybe she wasn't in the definition of perfect the way my client was looking at it, my coaching client was looking at it, of she hit a home run every single time she was at bat. But instead, we looked at the consistency aspect of it. We took that angle and we said, okay, she went up to bat, she would hit home runs, and she hit so many home runs that what you remember was that she was perfect. We didn't talk about some of the strikeouts or some of the walks or some of the singles or doubles or triples or anything else. What we remember is the fact that she was consistently hitting home runs. And so in our minds, it created this idea of perfection. And again, when you parallel those two together and you think to yourself, okay, so the what we remember was that she was perfect. But in fact, what she was consistent. And you could take that anywhere. I mean, if you think here, like even if you think about, consistency, we got internal consistency and we got external consistency. And there's these, the external is about the actions. It's about actually showing up. Whereas the internal, it's about the beliefs. It's about our values. It's about mental consistency. And where you would look at this is to think for yourself, what do you believe? Do you consistently believe in yourself no matter what's going on? Or do you attack yourself every once in a while? And do you tell yourself you're not good? And do you tell yourself that you can't do it? And do you bring yourself down without even really realizing that that's exactly what you're doing, is bringing yourself down? And you might be doing it because you feel like you're in a low spot right now. The key here is, again, remaining consistent, both internally and externally. This comes back to the actions. This comes back to your belief. As we talk about the internal, and we look at, in personal development, like your own development, habits, things that we do regularly, they build our identity. Stuff like, actions like exercise, reading, meditating if you do that, journaling if you do that. All of this leads to that self-improvement, and it all forms a foundation for us to create who we are. What is our identity? And again, it's the small actions we take every single day that actually shape who we are. They're what make us become who we are. For me personally, I'll tell you, and again, I know that I've shared this before. I get up every morning, and one of the first things I do is I look at my goals. I look at my vision board. I acknowledge what I accomplished yesterday. And I go and I journal. I write down how grateful I am for the things that I have. The health, the happiness, the safety of my family, the relationship with my wife, the fact that my kids had a good day at school, the fact that we've got a ton of opportunities coming to us. So not only am I writing what I'm grateful for that we have, I'm being very intentional about the things that are coming to us, be it the money, be it the success, be it the opportunities, be it the success that my clients are going to have. And there's so much more. And every day I find different things to be grateful for, different things to acknowledge. I also spend a lot of time reading. I work to read 2 books minimum a month, about 30 minutes of reading a day. I go to the gym on a regular basis. And between the gym, the reading, feeding my brain, the gratitude, recognizing the things I have, recognizing the good in my life no matter what's going on, again, I begin to shape who I am. And by doing that, I feel better. I feel more optimistic. I feel more positive. My ideas get generated through my mind more. So it's I get more creative. And inevitably, it just creates more opportunity. Creates more good in my life. It creates more happiness. And who doesn't want to be happy? And all of that positivity, I mean, we talk about the glass half full to the glass half empty. We talk about, the sky is falling versus like the world is your oyster. And we could do a whole bunch of different parallels there, but there's the yin and the yang. Well, as you're doing the right things emotionally for yourself and you've got the right habits in place for your own personal development and you're consistent about those efforts, again, this is all what's going to come back to contribute to your success. Yes, I truly believe that writing in a gratitude journal every single day, whether you choose to do it in the evening, you choose to do it in the morning, you could do it in the middle of the day. Quite frankly, I'm not going to tell you when to do it. I just personally like doing it at the start of the morning because it's one of those where you get to, no matter what side of the bed you woke up on, you get to truly internalize and break down the good that you have. And that right there will always set a positive motion, a positive flow for how your day starts. Gives you positive momentum. And as we talk about momentum, we talk about discipline, right? This is, again, what happens is having this consistency and being consistent about these little actions, they build momentum. And then the discipline to do what we know we need to do, simply put, becomes easier. And as it becomes easier, over time, these habits, which again help build our identity, they just become ingrained in us. I put in my calendar every morning that I'm going to look at my goals. But I don't need my calendar to tell me to look at my goals. I put it in there every morning that I'm going to journal, but I don't need my calendar to tell me I'm going to journal. Why? Because I've done it repeatedly, time and time and time again. As I continue to work on me, I continue to try to make myself better. I built the habits. They're building my identity. They're building my mindset. They're building my strength. They're building my family. They're building my business. And all because I'm taking care of me, the man in the mirror. Look, working out. A couple of years ago, I made a commitment after coming back from a weekend at the cottage, realizing there was way too many beers. And no, we didn't do anything stupid. It was just that you could tell it's like you felt sluggish. You could tell that, it's not as healthy as water. Although it's a lot of fun, it's not as healthy as water. So, I realized, though, I needed to get my butt in the gym. It was time. I had to go do this. And I made that commitment. I went to the gym, I signed up, and I never looked back. And as I never looked back and I started going to the gym more, and although it wasn't easy some days to get up and be like, here we go, we got to go work out, we got to go sweat, we got to go we got to take time away from something else to go to the gym to get in shape. Through the effort, through the consistency, I have begun to see, and of course we're a couple years later, so I've seen a lot, but I've begun to see the weight shed. I've begun to feel better in my clothes. I've begun to feel better when I'm looking in the mirror. And all of that leads to a more positive mindset, never mind just physically, but emotionally. And as I'm feeling better both physically and emotionally, I got a lot more energy. Again, I feel better about me. I feel better about the commitments I'm making to me. I feel better about how I'm not letting myself down. And you know it and I know it. We all go through this. We all ruminate about the stuff and the shit that we want, that we don't have, or the things that we want to do that we don't do, or we know we should, but we don't. When we implement consistency and we got the right habits going, that discipline to do it builds the momentum, which creates the energy to make a better you. We could take the same thing and look at that in relationships, right? Building trust. Building strong connections through consistency in communication. And communication is imperative. Communication is huge. If you think about a business relationship with somebody, what does your follow-up system look like? As we talk about consistency, what does your follow-up system look like? See, in our one-to-one coaching program here with MindShare, part of our performance coaching that we teach, we talk about the 10-year plan. It's a bulletproof follow-up system that will always have you in touch with everybody in your contact list consistently, to the point where you're always present. Now, don't take that out of context. I mean, if you coach with us, you totally know what I mean. If you're not coaching with us, which you should be, you may not fully understand it, but again, this is your follow-up system. When you put this machine in place, you will continue to garner more business easier and make more money and live a happier life And you're going to get more business consistently because we've implemented this plan. It's a communication strategy. It's a follow-up strategy. Again, it's the consistency of building the connection with somebody else. The stronger the connection, the more opportunity. And look, consistency can make or break both personal and professional relationships. Right? Like if we go personal, look, me and my wife, me and Jennifer, if there's a lack of focus on the date nights, the relationship's kind of lack. We're not doing stuff for just the two of us, which is how we started this whole family to begin with. Just the two of us. So we've got to be consistently focused on the things that we want to achieve. If there's a lack of focus on follow-up with your clients, never mind just on the personal, but now on the professional, again, you're not going to get the opportunities that you want to get. Even though you want them, you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing to get them. So again, consistency can severely impact our relationships, both personally and professionally. And if we look at professional side and we talk about the business, right? Long-term success through consistent branding, through consistent marketing, through consistent work ethic, through the consistency of the type of customer service you deliver and the experience that people get. See, if you think about the branding, the marketing, the work ethic, the experience, the customer service, all of this is what's building a long-term reputation for your business. What do they do? How do they do it? What do people know about you? Think about your content strategy. Are you consistent with it, or do you just think that you need to, or want to be? And do you just know that you need to be, but for some reason you're still not doing? That's on you. Again, if you're working with me and we've gone through and talked about a content strategy, you are not executing, that's on you. If we don't work together and you've thought about a content strategy, you're not executing, that's still on you. And if we're working together and you're not executing, I got to say, what's going on over here? I don't think many of the people that are working with me, though, many of you, I know you're all executing. Same thing with our daily IPAs, right? Our income-producing activities. We overcomplicate the shit out of all this. We want to go buy leads. We want to go have somebody deliver business to us, but we all know that's bullshit. The world doesn't work like that. We already said hard work pays off, and if you think that you're just going to pay for somebody to do the hard work for you and you're going to get paid, come on. So we got to be consistent. Making our calls, sending our emails, doing our social medias. Think about some of the biggest companies in the world. They're all built on consistency. All of them. I love it when I'm on stage, and again, if you've been in the room when I do this, who do you think of when I say running shoes? You just say Nike? Who do you think of when I say soda pop? You just think of Coca-Cola? Who do you think when I say fast food? You just think of McDonald's? I could say the smartphone. You probably just thought of Apple, iPhone. You could say online shopping. You might think of Amazon. There's a number of different real-world examples that we can look at to say, hey, how did they become the biggest of the big? How did they get so big? Consistency. See, if you do that and you have this mindset for consistency, and I talked about gratitude, I talked about journaling, I talked about, mindfulness, all of it's going to contribute to you being a better version of you, right? Goal setting. All of this stuff gives us that good feeling that when we do look in the mirror, like I said earlier, we have that self-realization to recognize that we have in fact accomplished. And so again, the consistency of the efforts, whether you did it perfectly, whether it went exactly how you wanted it to, whether it was exactly, everything you had thought it would be, or you got the outcome you wanted just by doing the action, it's the fact that you did the action that's going to lend to what you truly want. Now, I get it, though. Doing the action is actually the hard part. And as we look at some of those common barriers, these challenges of consistency, some of the common barriers are things like procrastination, things like lack of motivation, distractions, fear of failure, overwhelm. We've all got so much going on in life, and nobody has enough time. We've all got these desires that we want. And then, of course, there's just that endless scroll to see what everybody else is doing. We don't have enough downtime anymore. Like, don't the days feel like they just fly by so quickly? Yeah, because every single time we have a moment to breathe, every single time there's a commercial on TV if you're watching your favorite show, or every single time that you're not talking to another human being, now we pick up the phone and we look at what other people are doing. Now we've got all these different apps sending messages to us, and there's so many things to respond to that it just keeps going. Whereas back in the day, before the smartphone, before all this connectivity, and I get it, we're not going backwards, but before it all, we had downtime. You had to watch the commercial, or maybe you'd look outside the window. If you're sitting around waiting for somebody, you didn't look at the phone, you might have picked up a magazine, or you might have just kind of been in your own thoughts. When you're up at the cottage and you're supposed to be enjoying the lake and looking at the fire or watching the kids play or watching your friends, people have their heads down in technology. So there's always the go, 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 go. And again, it's creating a lack of time. It's creating a lack of internal dialogue where we're able to really compartmentalize what are we doing and what are we not. And a lot of this, this go, 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 it leads to burnout. See, if you don't have a plan, if you overcommit to how much you're going to get done, it's going to lead to burnout. And that burnout is going to impact the consistency, because at some point you're going to say to yourself, and we go right back to the tortoise and the hare, right? At some point you say, I'm out of breath. I can't do it. I need a break. And look, breaks are okay. They totally are. In fact, it's exactly what you need to be doing every once in a while, just to recharge and reset. But again, through the consistent actions, if I said to you planning, scheduling, this idea of mapping, and this is exactly how you overcome those common barriers of, again, procrastination, lack of motivation, and distractions, and fear of failure, and overwhelm, and all of that. You overcome it by setting realistic goals, by creating a routine, and using accountability systems for yourself, implementing those. And again, we teach the process of exactly that, and we call it mapping. Now, this is isolated to what we do here within, again, our one-to-one coaching with MindShare 101, is this process of mapping. And to simplify that, your goals equal your address, and your schedule equals your navigation. By having a roadmap and having a system and a process and a plan to what you're going to do and how you're going to get there, it does allow you to accomplish it all and more, including taking the downtime. So what we really want to do, and again, one of the big keys here through mapping is to focus on the progress over the results, okay? So again, we're going to focus on progress over results. Did I do the actions? Did I show up even though I didn't see immediate outcome? And even though I didn't see immediate outcome, did I show up again the next day? See, this is, again, the progress over results. Did I do the actions to get to where I want to go? And if I did them, did I get the results? Well, I may not have. Okay, let's go. Do it again. It's like I keep saying, we're on episode 301 of this podcast. We've learned so much along the way. And we are still constantly tinkering, still constantly trying to improve. Whether it's right here on the show or it's in the back end trying to make the show, even bigger and better and get it out to more people. And look, every once in a while, yeah, like I said, you're going to fall. You're going to want to take a break. You're going to need that break. You're going to want to recharge. That's okay. But through the consistent habits, through the effort, again, you're going to have the opportunity that you create for yourself to actually get the results you ultimately want. So what are some things we can do here, okay? Some habits we can create to build consistency. Some tips for staying consistent. First, I want you to think about the whole idea of trigger, action, reward. Trigger, action, reward. Those three steps are the steps that equal a habit, that create a habit. So the trigger, what's going to cause you to do it? The action, what is it that you're going to do? And the reward, How are you going to recognize for yourself that you actually accomplished? Now, one of the tips I'd give you here is to start small, right? You want to begin with stuff that is manageable. And realistically, I'd say to you, set goals, right? What do you want? Once you know what you want, quantify. How much of it do you want? Then create a timeline on that. When do you want it by? And by doing that, we can break down the step-by-steps that we need to take in order to, well, achieve what we want. But start small. Don't try to, again, tortoise in the hare. Don't try to, blow all the energy all at one time, because you will get exhausted very quickly. Small, consistent actions. Track your progress. Okay? Use a journal, use an app, use a checklist to measure growth. I can tell you again, in our coaching program, we have a goal tracker. And that goal tracker breaks down the daily actions you need to be doing in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So to give you the exact roadmap, the exact quantity that says, hey, today you need to do X in order to get to Y. Speaking of Y, in the XY, in this part, I'd say find your why. Focus on your purpose. Focus on your end goal. Because that's what's going to help you maintain that motivation. Right? Every day when I get up and I'm looking at my goals, I see what I want. And I see how small the little actions I need to take are today, no matter whether I feel like I want to or not. I see what I have to do today in order to actually achieve what I want. So it simplifies everything. It's like you don't have to climb Mount Everest in one day if you want to get to the top of Mount Everest. Here's how much you have to climb today. Okay, great. I can do that. And as I track it, I'm like, hey, Dave, I look at my goals. I'm like, look how much you climbed today. It really does create that feeling of like, patting yourself on the back. Recognizing the win. Yeah, but I didn't get to the top today. Nobody said you had to get to the top today. And this could be money, this could be weight, this could be anything. Small, consistent actions. But be sure to track them. Be sure to acknowledge, because like I said, trigger, action, reward. You can know what you have to do. You can go and do it. And like we said earlier, progress over results. Track the progress. Did you get the actions done today? Because if you did them today, you're getting closer to inevitably achieving the results you want. Okay, so again, finding your why and focus on that purpose, that goal. Why do you want it? I know for me, again, going to the gym, why am I going to go and slug it out? Why? Because I want to get in better shape. I have a goal. I have a mission. But we know this. If you truly want it, you actually have to put in the effort to achieve it. And this is where it's important to create accountability. For me, again, what I do, and again, with our coaching clients, we've got our goal tracker. And part of the accountability to it is go in there and mark off what you did do. So if you did one today, add a 1. And again, if you did another one tomorrow, now you turn it into 2. Well, if the goal was 10 or 30, that small incremental action every single day will remind you that, hey, look, you are doing. Hey, look, you are getting closer. You are achieving. And that really right there, that daily tracking, that daily journaling, building systems, not just setting goals, tracking what you did, that's what creates the accountability. See, we again use this process of mapping. And the mapping, like I said, goal equals your destination, your schedule equals your navigation. We've got certain tools that we combine together to create this process of mapping. Then inevitably, again, helps myself and all of my coaching clients stay focused on their goals and stay accountable to themselves so they're actually achieving what they want. And the best part about it is when you're not tracking or you're not doing the actions, right there, again, self-accountability. You can totally see that you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So it's important that we do track. And again, this is a system and a process that, again, I will work through with you. If you are not coaching with me yet, I will teach you exactly how to do this. I will hold you accountable as well to make sure that it works. And I tell you now that when you do it, you will change your life and your business. I know. Sounds like a bold statement. For those of you coaching, you could sit there nodding yes right now. Yeah, I see what he means. It's not that all of a sudden I'm gonna be the most popular or most successful person in the world. No. What it means is that when you look in the mirror, you are going to be incredibly successful. It means you're going to feel incredibly good. It means you're going to be accomplishing so much more. And it means that you are not going to be most people who simply talk about their goals but never actually achieve their goals. You see, there's a lot of long-term benefits of being consistent, right? We've got this thing called the compound effect. Again, small, consistent actions leading to big results over time. And listen, going to the gym every single day or 5 days a week, eating properly, all of it is leading to getting into better shape. Reading, journaling, goal tracking, all of it is leading to me having a stronger mindset, a more optimistic, positive mindset, being happier in life. Better relationships with my wife, the focus on date nights, the conversation, the communication. My kids, my family, my parents. None of us are getting any younger. And for how much we got going on in life and how busy we are and all the distractions we got, what about the rest of our family? When are we going to go see them? Well, again, by tracking and recognizing, we can make sure that life is not just a fleeting moment. We can make sure that it's not just passing us by. Right down to growing my business. I mean, you name it. Life, business, success, me. That compound effect of, again, small, consistent actions, they are what lead to those big results that we all want over time. This also helps us build resilience, right? The consistency through failure. It builds resilience. Every single time we push through challenges, we become a hell of a lot more adaptable, right? We learn how to do it better. We anticipate what could go wrong. We are ready to face that. And as we do that, we just get better, we get stronger, and we actually procrastinate less because we're prepared for it. And again, through this process of mapping that we've got, and I said to you a few minutes ago here, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to need some time to breathe. It's okay to need a recharge. When you fall off those tracks for a moment, or when you step off of those tracks for a moment, maybe it's to go sit on a beach for 7 days. When you follow this process of mapping, which leads to, again, complete consistency, you know exactly how to step back on the tracks. You know exactly where to start. You know exactly how to get back on. And there's nobody that can stop you. I mean, this is like a freight train rolling down the tracks at 1,000,000 miles per hour. That's you, in a good way. Then all of a sudden you decide, hey, I'm going to park for a minute. I'm going to just go enjoy. And the minute we get back on those tracks, we're going 1,000,000 miles an hour again. And life can usually feel that way. But the way I'm describing it right now, I'm describing it through system and process, not through chaos. Through intent, not by accident. And what that does is that gives us a lot more focus on exactly what needs to be done, those small, consistent actions. And this is, again, where the results come from. See, we said earlier, it builds identity. You become what you do consistently. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you want to get more creative, you continue to do it time and time again, and that is what you become. And we've seen it. We could come up with bad examples about stuff like that. We could come up with a lot of good examples for stuff like that. People that you've seen that do the same thing over and over again. Why have they become the way they become? Why has somebody become so out of shape? What are they doing consistently? Why has somebody become so unhealthy? What are they doing consistently? Why is somebody not having the success that they want? What are they doing consistently or not doing consistently? See, in this case, again, this podcast, it's not just made me a content creator, a podcast host. Think about it. 301 episodes later, think about all the people that we've had on this show. This has actually made me a thought leader in our industry. People come to us at MindShare to ask our opinion, to get us involved. Because they know how many people we speak to. They see how consistent we've been with everything we're doing. And what does that do? Well, hey, On behalf of this brand, it creates a legacy. On behalf of your brand, it creates a legacy. See, what you're building today, right now, what we're building today, right now, it will continue to pay off in the long run. It's going to continue to help. You may not see it today, but through your consistent action every single day, the little actions you take, those big results you want, they are coming. And you need to truly believe that. But you also need to recognize that if you're not doing the things you need to be doing, and you're not consistent about it, you can't expect or wonder why you're not having it. So look, as we close out here, and we think about the key takeaways, show up. You have to show up. Set goals. You got to know what you're striving for. And whether you see the results immediately or not, stick to it. It's coming. There are endless stories about the most successful people in the world that will tell you exactly that. You don't know when, you don't know where. But I can tell you now, we're talking today. We just talked about how. So what I want you to do now is I want you to identify at least one area of your life where you really want to be more consistent. And I want to drive you. I want to encourage you right now. I want to challenge you right now to start today, right now. And if you're driving in the car and you're like, well, I can't just go to the gym at this second, great. Then do yourself a favor and at least look at your schedule and plan when you're going to go. And then when you do that, go. Remember, the trigger is the fact that you planned it. The action is that you do it. The reward is that you track it. And look, whatever it is that you do, I want to invite you, please share it with me. Get in touch with me. Okay, I want to hear about your experiences. If you can't figure it out, I want to know about it. I want to help you. If you're doing it and you're winning because of it, I want to know about it. Please share it with me. I love hearing success stories. I also love hearing about the challenges because we love helping people with that stuff. That is what our one-to-one coaching is all about. So reach out to me by email. Connect with me on social media. Let's talk. Let's keep this conversation going. If you got questions about this episode, get in touch with me. And look, speaking of this episode, this was episode 301, as I've said probably 301 times on this episode. We got another episode coming for you next week, so please, thank you. Continue to tune into the show. And I want you to remember this, okay? We all want more. Whether it's monetarily, whether it's internally, whether it's emotionally, we all have desires. We also all have a ton of distractions. The question is, are you willing to do, to achieve, to have? Are you willing to do what you have to do to achieve, to have, and to get what you want? As I said today a million times, it all leads right back to the consistency of your efforts. So I ask you, how bad do you want it? And if you do really want it, whatever it is, then you now have the exact steps for how to stay committed and see the results. Let's do this. You're either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, MindShare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle. Learn more about our one-to-one coaching, group training, and keynote speaking. All of it in place to help you build more mindshare so you get more market share. For all inquiries, just get in touch with us today. Don't forget to leave a review of this podcast at www.ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Connect with me on Facebook and TikTok at mindshare101 and on Instagram at davidgreenspan101. I want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems, REM Magazine, and the ORCF, the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation, for sponsoring the MindShare Podcast. This has been another episode of the MindShare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.